Welcome into today's edition of Just the Truth. Glad to have you join me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com as this special edition of Just the Truth coming from the Granite State, from New Hampshire. Glad to have you in. On the eve of New Hampshire's Republican presidential primary, I got around to a number of different places last night as voters told me that the top two issues they're concerned with is the economy and securing our southern border. Most agree there's only one candidate who can fix things. I'll let you decide who you think that might be. I'll give you a few hints along the way. Pawn Stars personality Rick Harrison revealed that his son Adam Harrison died from a fentanyl overdose. Adam was 39, and his dad blames our open borders as the cause of his son's death. More on that in just a minute. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton yesterday promised that the fight is not over after the Supreme Court granted an emergency appeal by the Biden administration to allow Border Patrol agents to resume cutting razor wire set up by Texas at the southern border. And White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre accused Fox News White House correspondent Peter Doocy of being politically biased from the podium in yesterday's news conference as she singled him out.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills, but I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
Broadcasting from the Granite State, I spent some time yesterday talking with voters in New Hampshire. President Trump held a campaign rally in Laconia, New Hampshire. It was at 9 o'clock last night. There was a line 2 blocks long of people hoping to get in to hear the man they called their president. And it was cold out there, too. It surprised me how many people said that border security is one of their top issues, since Eagle Pass, Texas, is 1,901 miles away from the people who live in Laconia, New Hampshire. If you were to walk the distance in a straight line, it would take you approximately 37 days, 4 hours, and 10 minutes, according to the website that I looked up. If you rode a bicycle straight through the 1,901 miles, it could take you approximately 12 days and 6 minutes. Yet people consider one of the big issues, and I spoke with a number of people yesterday who said border security is a big issue to people in New Hampshire. Stewart says he believes that Donald Trump can fix it.
Well, I think personally one of the biggest issues is the border security. You have millions of people streaming across that border from all kinds of countries, not just Mexico, the Middle East, Central America, lots of places that don't like the United States of America. Anybody could be sneaking across the border and planting any types of groups to subvert our country. We don't know who they are, where they've gone, and I think that border security is a very important issue.
And he's right. We don't know who they are, and we don't know where they go once the Biden administration turns them loose in our country. Polls show that the former president Donald Trump has a double-digit lead over former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley in the Granite State. A recent Mayor's College survey, though, suggests that Haley would perform better against President Biden in a general election in New Hampshire. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton narrowly beat Trump in the 2016 election. In 2020, Joe Biden beat Trump by about 7%. Number of people sounding off. For example, Jessie was still trying to decide who to vote for. She said it's a difficult choice since her number one priority is a ceasefire in the Middle East. Jessie said, unfortunately, there's not a candidate that supports that right now. The economy was a top priority for a number of voters as well. Anna said, it's just crazy. The average American is living day to day, paycheck to paycheck. I heard that from a number of people. I spoke with a guy who wanted to be called Chuck, and he agreed with Anna, saying that Americans are hurting, that the economy is killing the average American dream.
I'm going to use a false name just to protect myself from the witness protection program. Let's just call me Chuck.
Okay, Chuck. Why are you here tonight, Chuck?
I am here because my wallet is thinner. Home heating oil is a fortune. When I go to fill up, even though the prices are coming down, my kids can't get a mortgage because the interest rates are too high. And I don't understand why. I just don't understand. And then healthcare. Healthcare costs me a fortune. So do I throw my credentials away, take a one-way ticket to Mexico City, and then swim across the Rio Grande and get everything free? This was never a country of free. My ancestors came and they toiled and they worked. And I understand people are looking for a better life. But we have to have rules. And if I have to follow rules and you have to follow rules, I think everybody should follow the rules. It shouldn't be haves and have-nots. And so I'm looking for a brighter future for America, for my grandkids, so that they can have the same dream I did. Right now it takes $50 for the wife and $50 for the husband per hour in order to live the American dream. 2 cars in the driveway, pay your own kids' college tuition, and all that. The other thing is, we talk about rule of law. If the Supreme Court says take down the razor wire in Texas, you better rest assured that Mr. Biden will do that. But Mr. Biden was told, do not, you don't have the authority of the purse to pay student loans off. But he has moved billions of dollars in order to buy votes, and the Supreme Court, unfortunately, doesn't have their own police department to go out and arrest them. If you did that or I did that, we'd be arrested. You can't just do whatever you want and ignore it. So that's why I'm here freezing in the cold in New Hampshire, because we can't live like this. I don't have an electric car. I can't afford one. Electricity rates are already high enough. The grid can't support it. And all of these people that are in Davos, the Bill Gates of the world, they don't mean anything in our lives. These people do not define who America is. And that's why I'm here. And I bet you many of the people are here for the same reasons.
That was Chuck. Very, very well said. Chuck was very articulate and passionate about his support for Donald Trump. Irene said that she could support Trump, said that immigration was among her top priorities. She said, close the border. I'm a legal immigrant from Germany, so I really believe this country is wonderful. The only way to get in here is through legal immigration, she said. Trump last night held a last-minute rally in Laconia alongside some of his former opponents. South Carolina Senator Tim Scott was there, Vivek Ramaswamy, and North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum. Hundreds of people, again, standing in the freezing cold to get in to see this president. As people complain about illegals coming across the border, another common theme was illegal drugs that are coming across them. Fentanyl, for example, that's killing a lot of young people. Pawn Stars personality Rick Harrison, whose son Adam Harrison is 39 years old, we knew he had died of a drug overdose or suspected drug overdose. We didn't know the details. Well, his father said in a statement on Monday that he can confirm that Adam died of a fentanyl overdose. He said the fentanyl crisis in this country must be taken more seriously. It seems it's just flowing over the borders and nothing is being done about it. We must do better, he said. The Drug Enforcement Agency listed fentanyl as a Schedule II controlled substance that is similar to morphine, but about 100 times more potent, and noted that 2 milligrams, that's less than a grain of salt. Think about that. A grain of salt of this synthetic opioid can be lethal depending on a person's body size. A representative for Harrison confirmed to Fox News Digital that he had passed away of an overdose. The family is greatly saddened at his loss and asked for privacy as they grieve. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reported that overdose death involving synthetic opioids, primarily illicitly manufactured fentanyl, rose 55.6% between January 2020 through the end of 2021. and appear to be the primary driver of the increase in total drug overdose deaths. And most of that, again, is coming across our southern border. It's always a pleasure to talk with you each day about my PhD weight loss and nutrition. Let me take a minute to tell you about what Dr. Ashley Lucas and her team at PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition is doing. If you're thinking of losing weight, if you want to get healthy in 2024, then let me encourage you to go ahead and call 864-252-4925, set up your consultation, and see if PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition is right for you. It was sure right for me over 3 years ago when I lost 30 pounds, and I've been able to maintain that weight loss ever since. If this is a year you're going to get healthy, that you want to be able to focus more, you want to sleep better, if you want to be able to do things that maybe you haven't been able to do, didn't have the energy to do for a long time, then call PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition right now. 864-252-4925, 864-252-4925. Online, visit them at myphdweightloss.com. PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition, the official partner of the Clemson Tigers. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. You can leave me a quick voice message as well, and you can email me, joey@joeyhudson.com. So Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton said yesterday that the fight is not over after the Supreme Court granted an emergency appeal by the Biden administration to allow Border Patrol agents to resume cutting the razor wire that Texas agents had been setting up to keep people from invading Texas. Paxton said in a statement, the Supreme Court's temporary order allows Biden to continue his illegal effort to aid the foreign invasion of America. The destruction of Texas's border barriers will not help enforce the law or keep American citizens safe, he said. This fight is not over, and I look forward to defending our state's sovereignty. The court ruled in what I was surprised at, a 5-4 decision to allow the federal government to resume the removal of the fence that's being installed by Texas, that area near Eagle Pass, while litigation continues. Now get this. Chief Justice John Roberts and Justice Amy Coney Barrett joined the 3 liberal justices in this 5-4 vote to allow the practice to resume. Justices Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, Neil Gorsuch, and Brett Kavanaugh would have denied the application to vacate the injunction. Paxton had sued the administration back in October over its damaging of the wire, accusing the administration of disrupting state efforts to secure the border and damaging the ability to deter illegal entry. The Biden administration has argued that once illegals are on U.S. soil, that Border Patrol agents must apprehend them, and it's claimed that the wire, quote, inhibits Border Patrol's ability to patrol the border. The administration has also argued that federal immigration law supersedes Texas on efforts to control the border. I can't even believe we're having this conversation, can you? Why would the federal government be fighting one of its own states who's simply trying to protect their border, protect the safety of their citizens? A Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals panel had granted a request for a preliminary injunction. The Department of Justice had asked the Supreme Court for temporary relief so that it could remove razor fence at the federal government's discretion. Its application to the court argued that the Courts of Appeals' contrary ruling inverts the supremacy clause by requiring federal law to yield to Texas law. It said if accepted, the court's rationale would leave the U.S. at the mercy of states that could seek to force the federal government to conform the implementation of federal immigration law to varying state law regimes. The Department of Homeland Security said yesterday that it welcomed the Supreme Court's order. A spokesperson said enforcement of immigration law is a federal responsibility. Rather than helping to reduce irregular migration, the state of Texas has only made it harder for frontline personnel to do their jobs and to apply consequences under the law. We can enforce our laws and administer them safely, humanely, and in an orderly way. Well, I don't doubt that the federal government can't do that. They're just not doing it. They're refusing to do it. Brandon Judd, president of the National Border Patrol Council, said that the ruling would undoubtedly encourage more illegal immigration, and it will, won't it? Judd said in his statement, unfortunately, this means Border Patrol agents are going to be tied up dealing with give-ups rather than going after the criminal elements that constantly cross our borders illegally. He went on to say the administration no doubt will say this is a win for border security, but if they sought rank-and-file input, they would be told this will do the exact opposite. Agents support what Texas was doing to accomplish in the absence of true border security policies from this administration. The battle is one of a number of battles going on between the federal government and the Lone Star State. The DOJ has also sued Texas over the deploying of buoys in the Rio Grande to stop illegal crossings. Meanwhile, the federal government is suing over a recently signed anti-illegal immigration law, which allows state and local law enforcement in Texas to arrest illegal immigrants. Tensions were heightened this month when Texas seized the Shelby Park area of Eagle Pass and blocked Border Patrol from entering. That is also being threatened. The administration is threatened to litigate that as well. 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line. So White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre accused Fox News White House correspondent Peter Doocy of being politically biased as she was at the podium yesterday. Portions of today's show brought to you by Furman Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, or maybe a good pre-owned vehicle, or maybe you need your vehicle serviced and you're having to wait weeks for another dealership to get to you, well, you won't have to wait weeks for Furman Ford. They service all makes and models, doesn't have to be a Ford, and you do not have to have purchased your vehicle from them. The thing that I love about doing business with Furman Ford is because when you spend money with Furman Ford, your money stays right here in the upstate. The Furman family, they live here in the upstate. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line with every single transaction that takes place. So when you walk in or you call or you email Furman Ford, you're very likely to get a response from one of the Furman family, Matthew or Jim Furman. Let me encourage you to take the short drive to Lawrence and support Furman Ford. Find them online at FurmanFord.com. That's FurmanFord.com. So here's what you need to know. Jean-Pierre referred to former President Donald Trump as Doocy's, quote, favorite president from the podium, and then would not allow him to push back against her accusation. Her remark came after Doocy asked about an ABC poll finding that the voters' view on Biden's mental sharpness and health has dropped since May of this year. Jean-Pierre asked which poll he was referring to. Here's the exchange.
I think I'm going to disappoint you really badly if you've been preparing all this time for this moment. It's not going to be that exciting, I'm pretty sure.
Let's see. Karine, why do you think it is that more and more people polled feel like over time President Biden is getting less and less mentally sharp?
Which poll is this?
ABC has President Biden's rating for health since May down 5 points, and for mental sharpness down 4 points.
You know, I have to say that's a little confusing for me, because if you look at what this president has done the last 3 years, historical pieces of legislation, right? When it comes to bipartisan infrastructure deal, many presidents before, like your favorite president, had said that...
Who's my favorite president?
Why don't we let the American people guess? But had said, no, let me finish. You asked me a question, I'm going to... No. Let me finish. And you'll guess who I'm talking about, who used to say Infrastructure Week, which was a punchline, became a joke. And now we are seeing infrastructure decade because of this president. There's the Chips and Science Act, right? There is the Inflation Reduction Act. These are legislation that is going to have a difference for generations to come, right? And so this is something that this president has done. That's pretty sharp for this president to have been able to do that. Let's look at the economy. The economy now, unemployment is under 4%, 14 million jobs created. The economy is in a better place than when it was when he walked And that's just a fact. That's just the data. And we're seeing consumer sentiment is going up. And we saw just in December how people spent more. And we hadn't seen that in some time. So I think you needed a president like President Biden to get that type of stuff done. Someone who's had Senate experience, someone who was the VP, vice president under President Obama, obviously, and someone who has been a pretty effective president over the last 3 years.
Okay. Following up on immigration, authorities in Fairfax County, Virginia, ignored an ICE.
She just doesn't get it, does she? She actually has read from the pages of that 3-ring binder of hers so many times that she's starting to believe it herself. She promoted CHIPS and Science Act and the Inflation Reduction Act as major accomplishments of Joe Biden. She argued that that he's a pretty sharp president if he's able to accomplish these great deeds like the Inflation Reduction Act. She said that the economy has improved since Joe Biden entered the office. Wonder what numbers she's looking at to be able to say that the economy has improved. Makes no sense. On the Furman Ford text line, Ace is responding to a question that I had or a story that I'd brought up about the vice president. He says, I believe that Tim Scott would be a good vice president. I believe a fifth grader would be better than what's in there now. I'd love to see Candace Owens in that chair. She is definitely for the people. Have a great week, Joey. Well, thank you, Ace. I appreciate that. Yeah, Tim Scott. And look, Tim Scott was front and center in Laconia, New Hampshire last night. By the way, President Trump sort of was making light a bit, kind of joking with Tim Scott about the recent announcement of his engagement to be married. Scott is, I think, 58, and the question came up while he was still a candidate as to why he had never been married, and was there someone significant in his life? And he said that there was, but he didn't want to reveal her identity. Well, they announced their engagement recently. Tony writes on the Furman Ford text line, Joey, regardless of what people think of DeSantis, he's a classy guy to back Trump because of the pledge. Plus, it wasn't DeSantis' time to run. That's true. I had a couple people yesterday in relationship to Nikki Haley when I asked them if she does not do very well in the New Hampshire primary, should she drop out? Most said yes. And most also said that they hope that she's classy enough to immediately endorse Donald Trump so that the Republicans can come together and focus on beating Joe Biden or whoever the Democrat is. Jennifer writes, hey, Joey, is Jennifer the dream team? ? This is in reference to the story where Joe Biden referred to he and his wife and the vice president and her husband as the dream team. Jennifer said, try the wrecking crew. I think you're right there, Jennifer. Faye writes, Joey, Haley has got to hear folks telling her to drop out. She is so entrenched with the establishment. What do you think she knows that we don't know? Kind of scary. We'll see. We'll see. If I suspect that if Haley doesn't do very well in New Hampshire, although I think New Hampshire will probably be her best showing, I think she may do better in New Hampshire than she does in her own state of South Carolina. We'll see. Our text of encouragement today, leadership is practiced not so much in words as in attitude and in actions. God bless. Thank you for that. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. Emails are welcome as well, joey@joeyhudson.com. So Representative Nancy Mace, the Republican from South Carolina's 1st Congressional District, told Newsmax yesterday that there's no reason the race for the Republican presidential nomination should continue. She's already calling it. She encouraged Nikki Haley to drop out so the party can start focusing voters' attention to the failures of the Biden administration. Portions of today's show made possible by Discounted Appliance Warehouse. Are you tired of buying appliances from inexperienced sales staff who have absolutely no appliance knowledge? Well, you're not going to get that when you go to Discounted Appliance Warehouse because there's so many different options, brands, features. It's kind of tough figuring out which one you need, right? When you go to Discounted Appliance Warehouse in Pickens, Jeff and Johnny and one of the team, they're going to walk you through the 11,000 square feet warehouse. They have about 1,500 appliances in stock at any given time, waiting for you to purchase, and they'll deliver right away. They have an expert installation team. They service what they sell. They'll help you find the right solution for what your family needs the next time you need an appliance. Look, I depend on them all the time. They're my go-to when I need appliances. Discounted Appliance Warehouse. Find them online at dawpickens.com, dawpickens.com. So Mace, Representative Nancy Mace, who, granted, has had sometimes a rocky relationship with Donald Trump, told Rob Smith tonight, quote, there's no reason for the race to continue on down to the South Carolina primary. I've been talking to voters all across the state of South Carolina, and Donald Trump is going to crush it, she said. It's nothing against Nikki Haley. She was a great governor. She has run a great race. But the people are rallying around Donald Trump. And the sooner we have a two-man race between Donald Trump and Joe Biden, the sooner we can save our country, because people do not want 4 more years of weakness in the White House. And Mace went on to say they want 4 more years of strength, peace, prosperity, and patriotism. And that's what they see in Donald Trump. And I've got to say, that she's right. That's what I've heard the most from people that I've talked to here in New Hampshire. Representative Mace endorsed Trump yesterday in a post on X just before the New Hampshire primary today, which is Haley's best shot. Today in New Hampshire is Haley's best shot of getting close to Trump. She trails Trump in the 538 average of polling by 14.2 percentage points, the closest anyone has come to Trump in any state so far. In South Carolina, which we hold our primary on February 24th, Haley trails Trump by 36.6 percentage points in the polling average. Think about that. A state that you were the governor of, and you're losing by 36 points. I think Mace is right. Her endorsement is another blow to Haley because you've already had Governor McMaster, Senator Tim Scott, Lindsey Graham, Representatives Joe Wilson, William Timmons, Russell Fry. All of them have already endorsed Donald Trump, along with a long list of state House members and state senators. May said that she hopes a Trump victory in New Hampshire will lead to Haley ending her campaign. She said, I hope that it does because it's time for us to unite. We saw Trump crush it in Iowa. He's going to kill it in New Hampshire, and he's doing a fantastic job statewide in South Carolina. And she's right. She's right. In just a few hours, we'll know because New Hampshire voters are going to the polls today. And I'm going to be out and about talking with various voters at some of the polling places around primarily the Manchester, New Hampshire area. And I'll be at Trump's victory party in Nashville, New Hampshire later tonight. Be sure and check in with us tomorrow as I'll have a full update for you on what happens in New Hampshire. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Keep those comments coming on the Furman Ford text line, too, 864-477-5639. What do you think the final numbers will be today? Let's have a little contest here. Text me on the Furman Ford text line what you think the final numbers will be in New Hampshire today. And then I'll compare them and tell you who won the contest in tomorrow's edition of Just the Truth. Appreciate you spending a few minutes of your day with me. Remember, folks, God's got this. He's still in control.